Hey everyone, Mad. Today, along with our hero Prinny, we're going to talk about Girl Laharl,
魔王に逆らったらその罪は重いぞ。
and we're also going to talk about Mid-Boss. What are they good for? Should you pull for them? Stay tuned. First, and I do apologize as my main is Laharl, so I keep thinking is male, but this is Girl Laharl, so this is a female, humanoid female fist user. Now, interesting with Girl Laharl is just like Laharl, who is a sword user. None of the evilties are based off of that weapon, so you can make the unit however you see fit. You can see here with the weapon mastery that sword's 8, fist is 10, and an axe is 7. Otherwise, you do have to spend more mana to increase the other ones. So I would try to stick with fist or sword if you can. Attributes: very resistant to fire, weak to water. Note that its attack is a little higher than most, but its speed is relatively slow. It does gain a little bit more attack. Its defense is on average. Its intelligence, and especially her resistance, does tend to fall behind. All in all, I would say it's a pretty decent unit, and I will explain why. Overlord's Pride is a very interesting skill. Laharl based everything on 10 plus 10 except for speed. This one, Overlord's Pride, personally, I think it's a little better than Laharl's as it focuses on attack and intelligence only. Yes, the defense and resistance can be helpful as well, but really in this game, you're mostly focused on attack and intelligence, except for certain trials or if you're pretty close on a certain stage. But all in all, attack and intelligence is key, so this is actually a pretty good general mixed unit that could fit in almost any party. The only time is when you are looking for male characters only. Basically, this is a very flexible unit overall. I'm actually going to go to Sexy Whims. So the ally with the highest action gauge gets SP plus 10 when a turn ends. This is really useful as well to buff up. One of the powers of this unit is that, giving that plus 10 allows the unit. So if you can speed tune it properly, at least for a while, it is pretty overall powerful. Now, femininity is something that makes the speed a little bit faster. 200 gauge when a turn ends allows it to push up a little bit better. Is a good power overall, but it can screw up your speed tuning a little bit. But when a turn ends, you get an action gauge plus 200. It's not a very large bump, but if there's a lot of units, it will help you move along. With 5, that's 1,000. That's 1/6 overall. So when a turn ends, your action gauge does get moved up for yourself, so that's pretty decent overall. So even though originally it's a slow unit, when a battle goes longer, it does pick up speed. It is not nearly as useful though for a lot of times when you're looking for like a first round kill very quickly, as Girl Laharl is slow at 50. Does have very strong skills, damage dealt bio skills 45 and any plus 7. So that femininity is a pretty powerful evilty. But when you really think about it, for a lot of things in this game, when you're really trying to focus on specific quick kills, that is not an evilty that you're really going to proc that often. The only time you're going to kind of proc it is if you have enough speed. You want Evil Laharl to give a +10, and then you've got a speed tune for that. So it kind of makes speed tuning for the SP +10 to the highest ally with the action gauge. So it does make it a little bit more complicated, but once you get this understood, then overall becomes a pretty powerful unit. Do I think is as powerful as New Year's Roslyn or Valvatorez for like specific? No, but I think they could work pretty well together early on, especially New Year's Raz along with Girl Laharl is definitely an interesting combo. I may or may not try to go for that. So for skills here, we have, it's pretty much Laharl here, just the same. We have Blazing Knuckle, Overlord's Wrath, Meteor Impact, and Overlord Dimension. Nothing is different from Laharl. Basically, the only differences are these evilties, and I do like the damage dealt by skills by 45% here, and along with this, where Laharl is a little less useful overall, but has a little bit more power there. The magic spells are a little different. Instead of fire, we have star, so this is the difference here. How much you're going to really focus on this, I'm not entirely sure. The intelligence just isn't a strong point for Girl Laharl, but having star is can be useful for like the tower. Also, having Braveheart and Mega Braveheart is a very useful magic skill. This is kind of where you probably like to go through. It's either is on a Braveheart skill. Wouldn't go any farther, but going back up here, 6, that would require 3 more mana upgrades to get you to 9 to get to Braveheart. But I think that would be fairly useful, especially for specific there. And another enhancements here. Nothing all that unique. It's very similar to Laharl. You have a total of 100% parameters if you get all the way to +10. Really, what your maximum going to be shooting for is any of 7. Obviously, you're going to be using any Pernies for that, unless if you are just going to keep pulling really, really hard, or you get incredibly lucky. All right, so from a overall standpoint, let's just do a quick recap with Laharl. Laharl is a decent attacker. Fist mastery highest, but in all honesty, the weapon really doesn't matter. As long as it's axe, fist, or sword, you could probably get away, especially if you have like Valvatorez, who buffs attack with swords only, or Adele with fists. If you've got to go with that type of party, then you can mix and match. As I say, with her evilties, they are pretty powerful. I do like the attack and intelligence plus 13%. That action gauge plus 200 when a turn ends is less useful than it really sounds when you really think about it. But depending on how you build your team, it might allow your Laharl to just skip ahead fast enough to give you that +10 at the proper time for the single turn kills. So that would be basically, this femininity is really useful for +5, and then with that +7 too is a very good powerful end. Like, I use my Laharl in Item World. Turn 3, I just have him do Overlord's Wrath. I have Yuri, who gives me +10, and she goes first. So Laharl can always do the Overlord's Wrath at the end, and my Disgaea does the first 2, and it allows me to go through quickly on Item World. So you can do the same thing with Girl Laharl. Alright, now let's go with Mid-Boss. One of my favorite characters in Disgaea is Mid-Boss. So Mid-Boss is a monster male, who obviously is a physical type base. But overall, Mid-Boss is a very powerful attacker who lacks in the other areas, but his speed is about average, and it has decent HP, but its intelligence and resistance are fairly low, and its defense is very, very low. So it can do some power, but just really can't take a punch. But it is very similar to what Disgaea is for that all. Obviously, it is attack, but it has also pretty good magic, but that's very consistent with monster units. Its attributes, it's somewhat strong against fire and wind at 15%, weak in water and star at 15%. It has decent resistances all the way around. So, evilties. A very, very, very powerful assist for monsters. If you have a Desco, this is actually a very good combination unit to have. Something that I am very interested in is main Sweet Mask. Monster allies all stats except speed plus 11%. Works very well together with that. Second one, any +1 is Beauty Rise. Damage dealt by skills plus 12%. Notice very, very good mesh with like Desco and other units. Any +5, Harem, self attack plus the number of female parties plus times 7%. So for the self, if you have a female team, it gives you very high attack, can get you up to about 35%. For my team, my monster team, which I am trying to build, it is mostly female, so this actually fits in very, very well. And Adonic defense gives damage taken from humanoids by -12%, which is very important because of his low defensive resistance with decent HP. But it's in item worlds 50-50, so it's really I'm not a huge fan of getting the NE +7. Even the NE +5 is kind of extra. Really what you're looking for is main and the NE +1. Its skills, I do like this unit because it has lots of AoEs. Very similar to Desco, has AoE. First one, 25 goes down to 20, except this one lowers attack by 5%. I do really like this one, and because of its low SP, you will be able to, once again, Desco is a great pair. You will be able to almost spam the Adonis shot and Desco's early AoE, True Boss, to basically obliterate everybody in its path. The Adonis Blast here is not going to be useful very much unless if you need this wind attribute. This is kind of the key point for the Adonis Blast. It's an AoE, it does attack. It's not very powerful, it's only slightly more powerful than Adonis shot, but it requires almost twice as much SP. It does reduce the intelligence by 10%, but once again, the Adonis shot's the main one that you're going to be using. The Adonis Blast is only useful for units that are weak to wind, and that's really only going to be focused on the tower. Adonic Buster is the last one, is the single target, 200. Gives you attack plus 25%. I don't see you using this a great deal, but it is his most powerful single attack. Basically, the only time I'm planning on using that will be to do on item world bosses, and that's about it. His NE +3 is a true Adonis shot, very expensive. It's an AoE, C+. It does do attack -12. Not really useful for the overall game. From a magic spell, he is a bit weird. He only has one true damage and that's Mega Wind. But once again, wind can be important for the tower and the bosses that'll be coming down the line. Otherwise, you get Charm, which bestows Forget. Speed Boost, which increases the speed of the target, which can be useful in longer battles, along with Mega Speed Boost, and then Slumber, which gives you Sleep Effect. So from a unit, I do like both of them, but from my perspective, Mid-Boss I think is better for my team, especially for Disgaea. You can combine those two and they become a very powerful combo. And also, if you're building a monster team, fits very, very well. Has stat speed 11%, except for speed 11% for all monster allies. And the NE+1 gives all damage dealt by skills for monster allies by plus 12%. Very, very powerful combinations. If you do want him to do more damage, get him up to NE+5. I don't think the NE+7 is very, very needed. And on a pure support basis, you could probably get away with just the NE+1. So, I hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe down below. I will be giving more updates and team composition videos. You can also watch me on Twitch at twitch.tv@Madgarou. So, I know that we are the heroes in this game. Pretties can be the hero, you can be the hero too. I hope you guys have fun. Good luck, and I hope you guys get the units that you're looking for.